Happy 4th of July, people. All right, we're at the bitter end. It's a bonus episode. It's the 4th of July. Mel, what's that shirt you're wearing? I thought we were supposed to wear collared shirts here at the bar.
Well, you know, there's been a couple of good things that happened to me over the last couple of weeks. Unfortunately, I wasn't here the last time out. Kenny did a great job filling in, doing a little bit of whiskey tasting. But Liverpool are now champions of England after 30 years. It took the time that I was in this country for them to win another league. I'm wearing this shirt. I don't care what you say.
We're talking about England on the 4th of July?
We are talking about England on the 4th of July, which is like, you know what? Live with it.
All right, we're going to live with it. But, you know, we're totally happy about Liverpool winning for you. We got their scarf and the bar towel in the bar as well. We're Liverpool fans as well here at the bar. But it's a bonus episode tonight, Mal.
It is a bonus episode. You've brought me in here. We've chosen a bottle that was up on the choosing rack, as I'm going to put it. And I think before we get into this, you have a couple things to say about what's going on and what we've been doing here over the past like 25 years or so.
Well, the bonus episodes, of course, are episodes where we know what we're drinking in advance, and we want to share a bottle of whiskey with y'all that we've already experienced and we're excited to try again. Now, about 25 years ago or something like that, you get a little silvery on top.
Yeah.
I got it at the bottom of the beard, right. You let me know that I was having a New Year's Eve party.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
We had, you know, it's back in the days when we call it the salad days. We really hadn't much planned, and Colin was in his old house, and I was like, "Look, dude, we're hanging out. Why don't you have a New Year's Eve party?" And this tradition started probably, well, it would have been like probably early '90s, very early '90s when we started to have New Year's Eve parties here. And we've taken off from there. Yeah.
In fact, I think the first one you actually had almost arranged without telling me. And I'd said, I've talked to a few of the guys. They're coming over. The party's at your house.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So and as things progressed in our private lives and our interests and whatnot, and then Scotch whiskey became a part of our lives. And we've, I think, for the entire stretch, there's been a New Year's Eve get-together here ever since on this property.
I don't think we've missed one.
And at some point along the line, after single malts and Scotch whiskeys became a part of our experience here, it became a tradition. It's probably been 6, 7, 8 years at least, where the bar has tried to provide a special bottle of whiskey for New Year's Eve.
Yeah, I would say probably over the past, maybe even the past decade, we have always tried to have certain tastings throughout the night. So we will cull together, people bring bottles in. I remember I've been bringing bottles ever since we've been coming here. It's like a rite of passage. Bring a bottle, we try it out. But Colin's gone out and I'm not going to go here, but we've had some bottles that have been really, really priceless in the sense that, hey, this is something new that we won't try unless we try it. Yep. And people that we know have brought in bottles. Colin has gone out of his way, traveled, and asked people, going to different places, and we have a spectacular range of scotches. Without it.
Yeah, and especially on the New Year's Eve bottles. I mean, I remember at least 2 of the New Year's Eve bottles were purchased in Chicago, and in all honesty, I don't think there's been a single New Year's Eve bottle purchased in New Hampshire, which is where we do our filming. They've either come from Europe or different states. A lot of research goes into what the New Year's Eve bottle will be. And that research can include the year of distillation or the distillery or perhaps the finishing casking. But we're usually after something special, including an element of rare. I was in the liquor store the other day, Mal, and I was getting some bottles, and the fella says to me, "Oh, you like Scotch whiskey?" And I said, "Well, you know, I'm a collector." And he says, "Are you a collector that, you know, just shows up?" Right. Well, he goes, "Are you a collector that tries them?" And I was like, "Oh no, we open the bottles at the bitter end." And so we seek out bottles to try. And so for tonight's bonus episode, we actually are going to have a tasting of a New Year's Eve bottle. I think, Mal, this is probably 2 or 3 years ago we opened this bottle.
I want to say it was 3 years ago.
Yep.
I want to say it was 3 years. But it's the amount of New Year's, well, we have a New Year's Eve, obviously we have this party. The amount of bottles that we've actually managed to go through over these past 10 plus years or so is astronomical if you think about it. Yep. But it's been something that's brought, there's probably 7 or 8 of us in this group that have actually appreciated this change from being a beer drinking group of people to drinking different scotches and enjoying them and really appreciating what you're getting out of a bottle.
Right, and I see where you're coming from when you say 7 or 8. It might even be 8 to 10. But amongst the friend group, everybody does look forward to trying the New Year's Eve bottle because they've come to understand, whether they're whiskey folks or not, that there are different flavors.
Correct.
Right, there are different whiskey experiences, especially in the single malt range.
And I'm going to give a shout out, actually, talking about people, lemonade.
I was thinking about lemonade.
Lemonade is...
Hi, lemonade!
Lemonade. Lemonade has come from being someone who really wasn't someone who really drank. Actually, he was one of our designated drivers. Thank you, Lemonade, for all the years you put up with our bullshit. But he has really come along, and he has appreciated what we've put on the table for him.
Right, absolutely. And I think that's something that comes along with friendships and trust, right? That he knows we're not trying to steer him wrong. We're like, try to find the flavor, try to find the vanilla or the butterscotch or the oak in this.
Yeah,
sip
and
of
it's
whiskey.
not about throwing someone into a loop where, okay, this is the best. It's not about that. It's about, hey, why don't you try this? And if you like it, you like it. If you don't like it, we move on to something else. Some people will find different things that we buy or we get given that they really enjoy. And then some people will be like, it's okay, but it's not my cup of tea. I'll do something else.
Yeah. You don't have to love it, and you don't have to tell us you love it to fit in.
Correct.
Right.
I think that's probably the best point that you brought up is the fact that you don't have to prove. It doesn't have to be proven. Just enjoy it. That's what we're here to freaking do. We're here to enjoy it. So on those notes,
Here to enjoy it.
we're gonna
So,
try this. So
so
what is this?
at least 2 or 3 years ago, Mal thinks 3. I'm with him. It's right there. A few years ago, this particular bottle is an Auchentoshan. This was distilled in 1973, and what we know about it right off the bat is that we liked it.
Yeah.
What we know is what it tells us right on the label is there were only 480 bottles of this released in the world. This is bottle number 184. This was distilled on March 14th, 1973, and it was put into bottles on July 8th, 2005. That's 32 years it spent in the cask. And it's spent its time in a sherry cask. Now, in general, Scotch whiskies, after distillation, after they spent their time in the distillery, are put into casks. And unless you are getting a bottle that says virgin oak, I got to slip in virgin into part of the conversation.
That's two tonight.
So you got virgin oak. If you don't see that on your bottle anywhere, the cask has been used for something before. Whether it's American bourbon, sherry, Madeira, Sauternes. We had a Burgundy cask earlier in the series. So this was bottled in a sherry cask. What else we know about the Auchentoshan 73 is its cask strength. So that means it wasn't cut down to that average of 40-42% alcohol. This is 55.5% alcohol. So this is going to be a stronger, you can see by even what's left in this bottle how dark this alcohol is.
Yeah,
now.
this is definitely going to have some sort of bite to it because of the amount of alcohol that's in it.
Mm-hmm.
This is not something that you can, if you're a mild drinker, that you're going to really enjoy on most parts.
Yeah.
This is something you have to be prepared to say, hey, look, when I'm going to drink this, I'm going to know I'm drinking something.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting in the sense that, like you said, with the color, which I think is a big one. Color doesn't tell everything every time, but it certainly guides you towards what you might be expecting down the road.
Okay. So quiz time now. Do you know the region and or do you know what Auchentoshan means?
And I'm going to say no and no. And I'm sure that means that you're going to answer me.
I probably do know the answer. Right. So Auchentoshan is a lowland. And so lowland distilleries probably is the region in Scotland where there are the fewest distilleries.
Yes.
Okay. And so, and when we think about lowland distilleries, we think about the lowlands of England, and then of course you think about, or Scotland, you think about the Highlands, same island, right?
Correct.
My bad. The Highlands.
Same part.
So Auchentoshan is in the lowlands, and it actually means in the corner of the field.
All right.
Right. which is where the distillery was located. And so that's where it takes its name.
So you would say this is closer, now, so just to get everybody on the same pages geographically, is this closer to England?
Yes.
All
Right, so this would be southern Scotland.
Okay. So just we know Highlands are northern Scotland,
Yep.
Lowlands is southern Scotland.
Yep.
So would you say it's
And-
below Glasgow?
Yes.
All right.
And, of course, the further south you get in Scotland, the flatter the terrain becomes.
And would you say that is another variable that affects the
So
way?
the corner of the fields. And so the Scottish, the distillery makers or the distillers will tell you that a lot of the flavor will also come from the water and what rocks the water passes over as it comes out of the ground. Does it come from them, I believe, granite in the north of Scotland, or does it come through some of the more earthy, just more of a muddy spring?
Limestone.
Right, limestone, good, right. So all these factors matter, but the Auchentoshan is a lowland whiskey, and it means in the corner of the field.
All right. Well,
All right.
let's open this up.
Yep.
Get our great sound that we like to hear.
Yeah.
You be my
Yeah,
guest.
we'll see if we have a pop on this. We've certainly tasted this, so again, we're going to expect this to be, I don't know if we're going to say medicinal, but we're going to expect some flavor in this.
Correct. Oh,
Got a little on my.
you did. I saw a little spray up there. A little spray.
Mm. So, here we go.
Oh, you can smell the sweetness right at the top.
Yeah, I'm very
That's the
excited.
sherry.
I'm very excited to have
That is definitely
another
sherry.
glass of the 73. So,
All right. Yeah.
right, that's real strong right on the
Oh,
nose.
yeah.
Yeah, very, very potent right off the bat. But again, 55.5% alcohol.
Yeah. I wasn't ready for that.
Really, I knew what was coming. I mean,
Yeah, I took a little bit too big a gulp.
man, it is very warming. I would say no peat, no smoky. No smokiness at all. In fact,
Actually, you know
I
what?
find it pretty pleasant on the small sip.
I'm gonna contradict you on that. I think there's a little smoke on the backside of it, but it may be the fact that I took a bigger gulp.
I did take a small tug there.
But
I still don't, because the lowlands aren't known for their peatiness.
no, and like I said, it may be the fact that I just took
I
a
think-
bigger gulp.
Yeah.
However, I will say this: this is a short and very abrupt tasting. You get all that taste. I feel like it's right in you, and then
It's not lingering.
Not lingering.
Yeah.
And then but the warmth, I
Yeah.
can feel it right in here and right through here.
Right through here. You can't see what I just did because of the beard, but right through here.
Yeah. But it's got a really, really nice taste. Very, very sweet to begin with.
It is.
But balanced out by the backside of it, which sort of like, because it's like that, it's almost like you don't get that sickly sweet.
Right. And it's not just alcohol.
No.
Right. There's a lot of flavor in that
You can
initial
definitely taste
experience.
that sherry. You can definitely taste that sherry.
100% you can taste
I mean,
that
if you've
sherry.
ever tasted sherry before, you know it's a very sweet, almost like, not sickly, but like very, very potent sweetness. This initial taste, you can taste that sherry. You can really feel it.
And as we sit here, it's almost completely gone from
Correct.
Right.
Like I said, it's very abrupt.
Yeah.
The taste comes
I
and,
like that,
and it's
abrupt.
good. And then it just goes.
Yeah.
Goes through and warms your body.
Yep.
And then it just feels good. You don't feel like you're, oh.
And it's past. And you wouldn't feel like it was a burden to have another sip.
Exactly.
Sometimes there can be a burden with the amount of potency involved.
Exactly. Because you're
Right.
almost overwhelmed
Right.
by it.
You're
And
like,
you
oh,
can't
boy,
relax.
that took
You
10
can't
minutes
relax.
just to get
Yeah.
the first one gone.
And you're just like, oh yeah, I
Yeah.
hope this is better the next time.
Yeah.
And like I said, I think the difference was between my gulp and Colin's sip
Yeah.
made a huge difference because you could see by the reactions. I was like, oh, as Colin just drank it and was just enjoying it.
I remembered 55.5, and then Mal just went for
So I was like,
a smaller scotch.
hey, Liverpool won the championship. That doesn't matter to me
Yeah.
now. So I'm going to try mine with ice.
I'm going to do ice too. Mal.
Okay.
Will you serve?
All right. So I'm a big ice fan. I like it. Oh, excuse me. Sorry out there. I like ice. I do enjoy the way it affects the drink. Obviously, you can add water.
And I'm a water fan, but given the alcohol content of this at 55, I feel like the water from the melting ice from the room temperature whiskey and the cooling of the temperature is really going to provide something probably bordering on special.
One, I didn't drink as much. Now, this is what's interesting. You try it neat,
Yep.
and that explosion of flavor hits you on the very
Yeah.
first side, right? And then it dissipates and freaking you get
Mm-hmm.
the heat for it. You try it with ice, and it sort of like holds it for a second. You get liquid coming down,
Mm-hmm.
and then all of a sudden you get that taste, and it's a much more mellow ending. I don't have that heat.
Right. I
Like I
feel
did the
like
first
it's
time round.
beginning here.
Much higher, right?
Right,
here.
right, right. It's beginning here, whereas in the first round it began right here.
Yeah, and it went right through you.
Right, but here it's like, it's calm all the way, probably to the back of the mouth, and then it's opening up.
That changes, and as we'll find with a lot of the drinks that we do, and it's not like something that's like science. You'll notice that there will always be changes when we change up the variables in our drinks, whether it's the chocolates, the cheese, and obviously water, whether it's an ice form or just water. But it's interesting to see how that changed from the initial time we tried it to this, where it's become a much more mellow drink in the sense that, okay, I've got this taste, but I'm given a chance to taste it.
I feel like I'm tasting more of it, which
Yeah.
is exactly what you're saying, right? It's, the alcohol is losing some of its potency, some of its strength, right? Potency, sure. And the flavors are now having a chance to expand.
Right.
Yeah.
You really gain a chance. Now
Yeah.
you have a feeling you can let it roll over your tongue.
Yeah.
Not this like it's on my tongue and I got to get it down because
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
a lot more. But this is very, very tasty.
Yeah.
And it's actually more so tasty with ice. That's why I'm going to put this.
I could go either way, with the neat or the ice, but this certainly is a nice glass of whiskey. And what did they tell us? They told us there was 480 in the world. Boy, if nobody else opened theirs, there's soon to only be 479 of these available.
Very much so.
Right.
Which is a great thing about this entire show.
Yeah. So why don't we wrap her up now?
All right.
Now, we've teased you on the team for a long time about, are you
This or that.
Australian
Yeah.
or what? But it turns out that you happen to know that part of your heritage is Armenian.
That is correct.
Yeah. So.
So, Janetza.
Gnatsta.